Balance Dataslate for June 2025 is here, and with it quite a lot of changes for the factions we all know and love, plus 3 whole new detachments. So join us as we discuss what's changed. I am James Jordan, aka The Bard, and today I am joined by Chaos Lord Beard.
Yes, bruv.
Mr. Joe Pointing. Yes, bruv. Yes, of course. We're also joined by Jinx.
Hi.
It's a whole new world. It's a very exciting world.
Big changes.
Big changes.
Yep.
And I'm a very happy boy for a few reasons, which we'll get onto later.
I'm happy too.
You are very happy.
I think there's a lot in here for everyone to be happy about.
For everyone. It's another, what is encouraging about this here Balanced Dataslate for June 2025 is it's again not just like a sprinkling of like mediocre, not really impactful changes. There's quite a lot going on.
Yeah.
There are some winners and losers in that sense. Some factions have had very minor changes, but some factions have some pretty big changes. Stonks indeed.
One might say.
So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the Balanced Dataslate. We will then be covering the new detachments that have been released, and then we'll wrap things up by covering some of the MFM changes, because there have been some various differences in points and stuff like that that might make a difference to your armies and the way you're running your armies. But with the Balanced Dataslate, we'll dive right in. Balance Dataslate. There's no core rules changes.
Nothing.
It's all the same. It's carried over, which I think is good because I know there's a lot of talk at the moment about balance and things like that. But I actually think the core entity of 10 is pretty tight.
I think at this point of the edition, I think changing core rules would be an issue.
It'd be foolish.
And if they hadn't, if there'd been problems at this point, then
I feel like
they
they've kind of addressed everything that was an issue.
Yes,
already.
exactly.
That's a nice little
They've-
foundation.
Yeah, exactly. They've tightened things up, and it's more the faction rules that do need a bit of a tweak. So first up is the Adeptus Sororitas, who have had a couple of changes here. Namely, the first one, I believe, is the change to the Righteous Purpose Detachment rule, which means you can select up to 3 Adeptus Sororitas units from your army, including those that embark within transports. To the start of your next command phase, those units are righteous. Now, my understanding before is it had to be like you had to use miracle dice to make them righteous.
You had to spend a miracle dice to make them righteous, which was a shame because it came out at the time when miracle dice were removed, and then they got brought back, but it's still, you need the miracle dice when you're playing Sisters, so it's nice to not have to use them on getting your detachment rule.
Especially because it's such a core resource for that army.
Yeah.
It's sort of a bit like, I don't
it
have the points
sucks when
to
you
spend.
can't use your detachment rule, so it's nice that they've just given them that all the time.
Yeah.
Yes. There have been some changes to Zephyrim squads.
Nice changes, actually. Well, previously you'd have to spend miracle dice to give them sustained and lethal in melee, but now you get both.
Oh!
So they are now much better blenders.
And it's you don't have to spend a miracle die anymore, and it is just if you've made a charge move, you get both.
Nice.
It's very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Indeed.
There's also been some changes with the Retributor squad, which is the backbone of the Sisters, as I understand it.
So, this is the big shooter unit everyone loves.
Yes.
And now they are bigger and shootier.
That's very nice to hear.
They're actually the same size. Previously, they re-rolled 1s to wound. Now they also re-roll 1s to hit.
That is really nice.
Very nice.
Right.
Really, really nice.
And now they get +1 to hit and wound instead of re-rolling wounds when you're shooting at a specified target.
That's
So
really,
they were
really good.
They are still obviously Sisters and quite squishy, but when you are targeting a specific unit, they are very killy. With
Well, the thing was
multi-ultis and
before was
stuff.
like they don't have the best ballistic skill. They have heavy,
Yeah.
but a lot of the time they'd be jumping out of a transport and then shooting, so they wouldn't get the advantage of heavy. So re-rolling the hit roll of 1 and getting +1 to hit, that's really good for them.
And also, I feel like it's nice that you can also get the +1 to wound, and giving them mainly if you want them to be anti-tank and dealing with Melter, that allows them to punch up a bit more, as opposed to just re-rolling and fishing for 5.
Really makes their flamers quite fun though.
It really does,
Yeah,
Barbecue times.
Yeah.
Then the Adeptus Custodes still have all the same changes from last time, nothing new there. We then move over to the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few.
There's
a few, one might
There's
say.
a few.
So the Castellan robots now benefit from the AdMech army rule.
Yes!
Woo!
It's almost like they're part of the army.
Yeah, they got programmed by the Datasmiths
Yeah.
to work properly, which is very nice indeed.
Well done for them.
One of my favourite things about reading any of the Adeptus Mechanicus rules is you have to say what detachments are called, And you have things such as the Cybernetica Cohort Detachment. It's called the Cybersarm Programming Detachment Rule.
Yeah, so these have basically been updated to reflect the Castle now having their army rules.
very nice.
So some slight changes there, but anyone with Castle robots in their army can rejoice.
Rejoice!
Binaric joy.
They can rejoice in their Transoracular Dyad Wothers enhancements.
Yes.
Great success.
Yes.
One thing I will just note on the Adeptus Mechanicus, and this will be pertinent to something I want to discuss with an army that's very close to my heart
They've had
shortly.
so many changes over time, haven't they?
This is nearly a whole page of changes,
Yeah.
which I think is good because it shows that they are willing now to be like, we didn't get it right first time,
Yeah.
and we're willing to add loads of changes. But as we'll get on to shortly, it's just, I feel like now the book and the cards are completely meaningless.
Yeah.
So many changes.
Yeah.
But we'll move on. Eldari.
The Yunari have had a little bit of a change to the detachment rule. So it's now just for infantry and mounted only. Mm-hmm. It's not everything. And they have to be within 6 inches of a unit that was destroyed, and they can make a normal move now of d6 plus 1 inches.
D6 plus 1. It does feel that it's the classic, the triple punch from GW there. It's like restricting what you can do. You now have to be closer. And now it's now D6 plus 1. And it's like, fine, I understand. But I do also think it's another thing if they seem to forget when they write the rules initially how powerful movement stuff is. Mm-hmm. So I think it's good that they're balancing that, but it is a bit of a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, right.
And then Yvrain's Herald of Iniad ability has now been changed to reroll a wound roll of 1.
Fair enough.
And that's it.
Yvrain?
Yes.
What are you afraid?
Yeah.
One change.
One change.
One change for the Imperial Guard.
Militarum. Now, I've been championing this for so long, and some people are like, no, it'd be too much, or it was a mistake. It isn't a mistake. It's now officially written and enshrined within the rules. Lord Solar does command Titanics. They've added that back in.
You were heartbroken when they took that away from him.
I'd understand if you're not going to let him order Titanics and you're worried about a Baneblade hitting on 3s if they weren't also nearly 500 points.
Yeah.
For 500 points, something that if you literally get into combat with it hits on 5s.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing to shut down in the whole game. I pop smoke. Okay, cool, that's 500 points firing into the sky. Yeah. He can now command Baneblades and Titanics, which I think is very important to make those units interesting. And also I like the fact it's him. So
He's a High Lord of Terror, of course he can command a Baneblade.
And it feels like if he was on the battlefield, that's where you would deploy the special dispensation relics of the Astra Militarum, like a Baneblade.
It's also, it's nice to feel like there is a point to take them now, rather than, take one because it's fun.
Yeah. And if you saw a battle report recently and On Demand where I did take a Doomhammer, my theory now of being able to take 2 Stormlords filled with 40 Guardsmen might actually be a possibility soon.
That sounds horrific.
Stay tuned for that when that happens.
Sorry.
Blood Angels. A slight change here as well. There's been no changes to the Black Templars. This just kind of tidies up the Black Rage a little bit. So now you still get the reroll ones to hit, or the reroll the hit rolls when you're fighting. But now you can be within 6 inches of one or more friendly Blood Angels characters to turn off the Black Rage for objective control, so you can continue to contest objectives instead of it having to be a chaplain. So you do have to be within 6 of any character, but you can still be within 12 of a chaplain because they just have louder voices, I suppose.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Chaos Knights are the same.
There is one minor change to the Chaos Demons, and that is for the Pyrogenesis stratagem is now only 1 CP.
Which is quite spicy.
I mean, considering that was already a nice detachment.
Yes, and it's Pyrogenesis for the Scintillating Legion is very good because now it's only 1 CP. I think that's the one that makes you have like turbo flamers if you want to. So that is very nice.
Yeah.
That is now.
Oh yes.
A bit cheaper.
Do you know what else is very nice?
Oh.
Changes to my boys.
Are you happy?
Chaos Space Marines.
Quite exciting, these.
The best faction
You're very happy.
in the galaxy. Right. So the Demon Prince got updated. Demon Prince without wings got updated, so he gets lone op like the ones in the other 4. So the spare Demon Prince gets to lone op like the rest of them. No changes, interestingly, anywhere else. So weapon profiles haven't changed to match the other ones, but he gets lone op, which is nice.
It is nice, yeah.
Now,
here we go.
The Lord Discordant, I feel like has sort of become a mainstay in Chaos Space Marines. It's
Gorgeous
a brilliant model. It helps boost your demon engines to an extent. All right in combat, has got a Bale Flamer, which is nice for Overwatch and stuff. He's just got absolutely turboed.
As I feel like he deserves.
All of the stuff has been put in it, and he's ready to kill. Right. First things first, he's now moves 14 inches rather than 10, which is awesome.
Quite quick that.
He has a 4-up invulnerable save instead of a 5-up, so he's
That does make
basically...
sense for someone of his.
Well, he's always been
Lordship.
described as being a Chaos Lord / Warpsmith / whatever. So now,
Giant spider monster.
yeah, he's got the invulnerable save to match that. His Corrupt Machine Spirit ability is now completely different. So previously, that allowed you to like give -1 to hit on an enemy vehicle. Boring. Now, at the start of the shooting phase, you select one visible enemy vehicle unit within 12 inches. And you roll a d6, and a 2 to a 3 suffers d3 mortal wounds, or a 4 to a 5 suffers 3, and on a 6 it suffers d3 plus 3 mortal wounds.
I like that.
That's corruption.
That feels more like what a Chaos Lord would do.
That's corruption.
I also feel like I prefer that because it's like when you're playing a game against someone, it's always more fun to take damage than it is to just be like, ha, your unit's basically not very good anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
I make you sad.
Yeah. Whereas
Now it's I make you dead.
and then you're like, yeah.
Right, Spirit Thief is also different. So at the start of the shooting phase, you select one visible enemy vehicle unit once again, and then you, any time friendly Heretic Astartes model makes an attack against that vehicle, you can reroll a wound roll of 1.
Very nice.
Very nice indeed. Now, do you want one more change?
I would
Yes,
love one
please.
more
I
change.
sure do. The Impaler Chainglaive now has 5 attacks.
Very nice that.
Lance, 2+ weapon skill, strength 8, -3, damage 3.
That is tasty.
Oh,
That is
boy,
very,
Dowdy.
very nice.
That.
That's awesome.
Nice that.
That's really good.
Because then, you're
So-
dealing with some serious
Strength
damage
8
now.
with the lance is nice.
Not only can he benefit the destruction of vehicles more than he did
Yep.
before,
Yeah.
he can now keep up with some of the faster moving demon engines, and also in combat, he's an absolute heavy infantry shredder.
Yeah.
Strength 8,
Yeah.
-3, damage
The damage
3.
three,
With
that's a
Lance!
bit-
With the lance, because it means you wouldn't
All
terminate
of that
them
is
too.
just so good.
Yeah, and if you are going for slightly lighter armored vehicles, if you want to finish one off,
Yeah.
you could probably.
Yeah, you could.
rely
You
on
should.
two.
Yeah, because you can do the mortal wounds on the way in. You can then benefit from the Spirit Thief.
Yeah.
And then you can also then do some serious damage with the Chainglaive.
Yeah.
He's far more of a powerhouse. Like he feels like a bigger character now.
Is he
as opposed to-
mounted or is he a vehicle?
He is mounted.
Oh, it's like a tank shot.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
tank shot with him.
Oh,
sadly.
sad.
Right, do you know who has got some updates? That all got update.
I still got some serious updates.
That all got turboed.
Bashtor,
turboed.
vintage him.
That all happy.
Yay!
That all, yeah. Right, so he has some new abilities. He does.
He does indeed.
Interestingly, it's been renamed.
Oh.
So Indentured Demon Engines ability.
That's nice.
Add Indentured Demon Engines. While this model is within 3 inches of one or more demon vehicle units, the model has lone op.
That's nice. That is good.
Can you
That's
kill your
great.
He
Bashtor?
was a little bit too easy to just snipe before.
Well,
with-
he's now much more like a demon prince.
Yes.
But a demon prince of specificity.
like a demon warp. What?
No,
Smith?
Evator.
Yes.
Evator.
Evashtor.
That's what he is. So that's nice for him. Unholy Mechanisms, I believe, is the same as it was before. No, that is slightly
You add 2
different.
to the strength characteristic now.
Rather than just 1, so
Yeah.
plus 2 strength.
Nice that.
Which is awesome.
Very nice, more offensive
and reorder reality is also different. So now each time an enemy unit is within 18 inches of this model, that targets this model, subtract 1 from the hit roll until the end of the phase. The enemy unit's ranged weapons have hazardous. Now previously they
Because-
just had hazardous, but now it's also a -1 to hit him.
Yeah.
So it's good because it then also helps that if you go close to try and deal with Vashtor for the lone op purposes, he's like,
What's really funny
Yeah.
about it is like you could miss because of the -1 to hit and then die for hazardous anyway.
It's
It
rough.
makes it really scary to try and actually target.
You also need to decide whether you want to or not.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
he's also much better in combat now.
He is indeed. So his sweep has gone from, it's actually gone from 14 to 12 attacks. So it's less attacks, but it's gone from damage 1 to damage 2, AP 0 to AP 1, and it's got devastating wounds.
Which is nice. Keys wounds, he's obviously anti-vehicle 4.
Yeah.
And he's got -3 on his strike now as well. which
Minus
is
3 on
nice.
the strike, yeah.
Nice that.
Yeah,
Very
really
nice.
good. Again, heavy infantry, like elite infantry killer, and to an extent, and also even more capable of dealing with vehicles.
I think he's very excited to hit the tabletop once more.
I love it, and no points changes.
No points changes. No points changes. Now, fear not, loyal sons of the Imperium.
Oh,
If you were worried about all these changes to Chaos, Daddy's back, baby.
He is an absolute weapon now.
So again, like I alluded to with the AdMech, there's been a lot of changes for Dark Angels since that book came out. And as I said at the time with the Codex review, they didn't get most of the core units right, I don't think.
Yeah.
Most of that as well being that the Lion never really felt like he was like the Lion. Whereas now, he's had a serious bit of a glow up.
Yeah.
So there's been 2 core changes to his Primarch of the First Legion options for his abilities. So all secrets revealed has been completely changed. So instead of doing the like, AP manipulation, he now has gained Mist-Wreathed Shadow Realms. In your command phase, if this unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, you can remove it from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. Now note, in your command phase, if this unit is not within engagement range.
Yeah.
In your command phase.
Yep.
So in your turn, you can just go
Yeah.
disappear him, and then in your reinforcement step, reappear him.
Not only is that handy from like a maneuverability point of view, but also like you will have drawn your secondaries at that point.
Yeah.
So if you got some
You know-
specific stuff that he can do for points.
Oh,
really
so
cool.
good. It also
Yeah.
feels so much more him because when he came back, there was the whole book that came along with him, and
He's
he
the son of the
was
forest.
moving in and out of the forest, and that was like the part of his ability he had in Ninth Edition. It's
Hanging out with the
nice that they brought
Watchers.
that back.
Exactly, right? He's got that maneuverability. What is good, though, to kind of temper that is obviously you've got to pick one of your
Yes.
Primarch abilities. So it's not like he can always do that and then still be a massive buff magnet.
But
He's-
again, all this is decided in your command phase after you've drawn your cards.
Exactly. So if you do need like, oh man, I really can't get over there to do sabotage or something, you just be like, the Lion's going to go do it. If you don't want to do that though, and you have wrapped him still within a warm embrace of lots of Deathwing Knights, his Martial Exemplar ability is just plain better. It used to be you added 1 to the hit roll, which is fine, but Deathwing Knights are normally hitting on 2s and they're pretty robust. He now gives a 6-inch aura of each time a model in a unit makes a melee attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1.
That's a lot better.
Which again, if you're taking Deathwing Knights and synergizing with the Lion, suddenly they are very powerful, and he benefits from
Yeah.
that himself.
Yeah.
So it just makes him 100% more
Yeah.
accurate.
It-
I don't actually know the percentages on that. That's true.
Percent better.
100% accuracy.
Given that if you do want to use him as a beat stick now, he's just rerunning 1s to hit and to wound, which bearing in mind he's normally wounding most things in the game on 2s or hitting them on 2s. It's very, very nice.
Yeah.
Then, if you are going to send him on a little solo mission, oh no, he's very killable. Well, now the Emperor's Shield has changed as well.
Is he very killable?
Well, he used to be.
Before?
Yeah.
Very
He was by himself.
He's only toughness 9.
Got 3 vulnerable saves.
Yes, but you just hammer him with las cannons because you can very easily wound the Lion on a 2 or a 3. Not anymore, everybody. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, this is the Emperor's Shield ability, the strength characteristic of that attack, if it is greater than the toughness characteristic of this model, so bearing in mind it's toughness 9, you subtract 1 from the wound roll.
And he keeps his 3 vulnerable save?
He still has a 3-up invulnerable save.
Jiminy crickets.
So effectively, you shoot him with a las cannon, you're wounding him on 4s. The only thing in the game now...
We've gotten back to Ninth Edition.
Invulnerable save. And if you want to wound him on a 2, you do require a volcano cannon.
But you can't wound him on a 2.
No, because if you're winning him on a 2, you'd reduce it by 1.
Yeah.
So you'd be winning him
So you
on
would
3.
need to, basically, you need to, yeah. Look, the only thing wounding him on a 3 in the game is a volcano cannon.
He's like at the end of that Star Wars film where Luke Skywalker gets nailed by all of the
And then just...
AT-ATs.
He's like, gosh. The thing is, though, he is equipped with the Emperor's Shield.
Yeah.
You'd expect it to be pretty good at doing something.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I've deflected a wound back at you.
Yeah.
But yeah, now he is an absolute weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Which is
I'm
very
excited
nice.
to see him again.
And also, he will tie very nicely to a new detachment that Dark Angels have also received.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Death Guard, no changes.
Funny that.
Funny that, given
They've just got a new
got a
codex.
new book. Death Watch, no changes.
Aw.
At least they're here. Yeah, they're here.
You know.
They've made it back in with a nun. Look, they get a bullet point too. The Drukari.
They've had a bit of a change to their Reaper's Wager
Wager.
Callous Competition Detachment rule. For what it's worth, if your unit is winning the wager, they reroll a hit roll of 1, and if they're losing the wager, they reroll a hit roll and wound roll of 1.
Okay.
Nice. G to the Colts. I'm sorry, everyone.
We thought there were no changes to this
It's
when we
hard
first
to
looked
spot
at
the
it.
changes, if I'm honest. There are some mild changes. Atlan Jackals for a resurgence points are now 2 for a unit of 5 Atlan Jackals. So slightly easier to bring back. But then Pure Stain Gene Stealers are 2 resurgent points for 5 models.
So the interesting thing with Gene Stealer Cults and AdMech, they to me, their army composition is kind of similar to a degree. And they both have so many changes.
It's a very
to their
difficult
rules.
army type to try and balance.
Yeah.
Horde is difficult.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
it
interesting
really
to
is.
see how many changes they had, and they still don't feel right.
I'm sorry, Gene Stealer Cult
Maybe
fans.
11th edition will be your edition.
Maybe it'll be your time. Maybe it will be your time. Grey Knights have had sort of, I guess, a little tidy up of their Warpbane Task Force attachment. It now specifies that each high model in your Grey Knights unit from your army makes a range attack that targets a visible target or makes a melee attack. So I guess clarifying
that's just kind of wording rather than actually changing it.
I think it's to sort of shut down any like fighting through walls stuff, maybe, because it's like technically you wouldn't be able to see them, but it's just a wording thing just to tidy it up, which otherwise their changes remain the same since the last data slate. Leagues of Votan!
They've had a very...
Whoa, hang on.
Imperial Knights.
Imperial Agents have had no changes, which is very sad because that's a really hard army
Imperial
to
Agents.
use.
Oh, yes, I forget.
I thought by now there might be some kind of stick offered to that faction, but
It's just
sadly
raised
not.
above them and beating them repeatedly.
What? Yeah, that's so weird.
Imperial Knights, no changes.
Leagues of Votan have just had a very minor quality of life change. Effectively, both the Brockleheer Iron Master and the Grimnir unit composition has changed, so their companions count as not being models to go in transports.
Which is great.
Which is good because it means they can finally go in transports if they're leading a unit.
Yeah,
Which is
as they always should have been able to do.
you know.
I like to think there'd be a little stowage compartment for the little robots.
Docking station, yeah.
Come on, charge.
I'm going on charge.
Yeah.
See you soon. I hope we don't get exploded.
That's so cute.
Necrons.
No changes.
Nothing. Oaks.
Big change.
Big change.
Cult of Speed. So we finally got to a point years later after the buggies got absolutely elbow dropped from the top turnbuckle.
Quite rightly so.
They were
much.
absolutely busted, but now they are getting a little bit of help. So the Adrenaline Junkies attachment rule now allows Speed Freaks unit to not only shoot after falling back, but also charge.
That's nice.
And advancing as well.
Yeah, which is brilliant because that then sort of kind of transforms that army a bit, and they are now way more usable.
They're going to be able to shut armies down in turn 1 again, aren't they?
No. The issue before was that you could take so many.
Yeah.
Now you're limited to the unit size. Now it just helps them.
Back in the days when you had the squig buggies and they could shoot out of line of sight. I think this is nice for Cult of Speed.
Yeah.
Because also they're generally speaking only like toughness 7 or toughness 8.
Yeah.
I mean, like they can fall back and charge the line as many times as they want.
Yeah. The only other little change is that the bomb squigs for tank busters, burner boys, blah, blah, blah. You now, basically it says once per battle for each bomb squig the unit has. So it just means that you can only use 1 per turn. So they just tweak the ruling a little bit. Yes.
Space Marine.
A couple of tweaks.
Little bit.
A couple of tiny tweaks, mainly to the Ultramarines.
Yeah.
I guess tidy ups as well. Calgar's Master Tactician ability requires him to be a warlord and be on the battlefield, so we can't do it inside of a transport.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. That's to gain your bonus CP. And then there's also been a change for Rebute Gilliman. Supreme Strategist is once per battle round now.
He feels a bit naff compared to the Lion now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I suppose they are very
They're trying to-
different characters.
They're just
I
trying
think
to
that was
push
the
him out
issue
the way.
before. The issue
Yeah.
before was that weirdly they felt very comparable,
Yeah.
except Bobby G did way more to buff your army. So it just felt like a bit like, oh, the Lion's kind of like a not that great fighter.
Yeah.
Whereas now the Lion is very good at fighting and killing and is less of a buffing piece for your army.
I suppose, like in terms of what they do in the background, it's far more accurate.
Yeah,
I
like
suppose.
They've actually differentiated the roles they have.
Yeah, which is
Rebute is at the
cool.
back commanding things, the Lion's leading the tip of the spear. Despite the book being on pre-order, it is obviously not publicly available. So Space Wolves, you still have the previous Balance Dataslate stuff.
Yeah.
For
now.
For now, obviously.
What Ryan's with for now?
Tau!
Big changes.
Oh, there is a lot here.
for your boys.
Now, bear with me, everyone.
What's your hot take on this, by the way?
I love it.
You love it?
I love
That's
it.
nice.
It was always a wordy mess to begin with. So this is the army rule has had a fundamental change. So for the greater good. Now it was always, once you got your head around it, it was straightforward. but required multiple readings and a couple of lawyers to make sure you understood exactly how it was written. That hasn't changed. It's still absolute word spaghetti. But ultimately, the thing is now, For the Greater Good has changed. So it's not that you have to have a spotter unit and a guided unit, and then they can attack one unit. Your spotter units now pick a unit and spot them for your whole army.
That seems way less complicated.
Which is way less complicated.
I feel like maybe I could actually play Town now.
It's basically, it really simplifies how they work, which is great. The concern would be, is that does potentially make them quite a bit stronger. Because now, a stealth suit...
I could play Town now.
Yeah. Like, before it would be like, okay, cool, well, I now have to decide how many units in my army are going to be my spotters, because then I need to synergize that with all my guided units. Now, if you're saying something like Retaliation Cadre, if you just take 3 units of stealth suits and hide them well, they can just spot for you all game, and all of your battle suits will get the +1 to hit. The benefit is still the same. As far as I understand it here, normally in this, if they've changed an army rule, they completely change it and put all the wording into the Balance Dataslate. So I am reading this as at the end of the phase now. Before, it had a specific writing to say, if you then didn't shoot your guided target, you were -1 ballistic skill. Now you just get the +1 if you're attacking the spotted unit effectively.
Cool.
So I think that cleans things up. It does still say that if the observer unit, which is the one guiding for your attacking units, has a marker like, they still get ignore cover. So it's all pretty much the same, except the main take home is that if you spot something, your whole army gets the benefit from that unit.
Which I guess then makes sense why they would take out the -1 to the ballistic skill, because otherwise it's, well, I'm only spotting 1 unit, so all of a sudden my entire, like, I'm -1 to hit every other unit.
Exactly, right?
You know what I mean?
It is a bit cleaner. It does also mean crisis suits are way better at split firing now. Like, you can do things, you can deep strike and your commander could just shoot something else and isn't going to get a -1, and then your crisis suit is going to get the same ballistic skill. It makes the army far easier to use, which I enjoy. We'll have to see if it's actually quite a bit more powerful than we're anticipating straight away. But overall, I think anything to make that army rule better for your opponent to understand is, for me, the more important thing. Because
I mean, we just always worked on a
trust basis.
And I trust you're doing it correctly. I'm not going to question it.
It should also make
but that doesn't always work.
No. And it should also make Tau games, if you're playing against Tau, they operate now faster. They should be far more enjoyable to play against and play with, which is the core thing. And I'm happy they've taken a bit of, not a gamble, but I'm happy they're keen to make something simpler, even if it means there is potentially going to be a bit of a strength increase, but that'll have to wait to be seen. This has obviously had then a knockdown effect through varying army rules and detachment rules. Kauyon has changed quite a bit now. Instead of you getting sustained hits 2 when you're guided in the 3rd, 4th and 5th battle rounds, you now just ignore ballistic skill modifiers.
Which is actually quite nice.
Which is very nice. You know, sustained hits 2 came up sometimes, it was pretty gnarly, but now you're already getting a buff for the greater good, it's a bit easier. It does make Montcar very, very, very good though. Same with 3 Unity Devastation, that has obviously been tweaked ever so slightly to reflect the new changes. It's same as Coordinated Exploitation. It's adding a guided unit rather than the guided unit. So that is also then the same for the stealth suits, and they have then made a change to the Firesight team, which is each time a model in this unit makes an attack that targets a spotted unit, you can reroll the hit roll, which is nice because, again, the Firesight marksmen used to be spotters effectively, but now you need less of them. They've changed some of the abilities, and Pathfinders now, instead of getting an additional option to observe, they now can ignore cover and improve the ballistic skill of their attack, which is quite nice. So it's just they've tidied things up, and it's a neater army rule overall, and I think it'll make Tau just a bit more joyful to play, which will be nice for all the Tau fans. Thousand Suns.
Nothing.
No changes.
They're new.
Tyranids.
So there's one change which I don't understand why it's taken this long to do. The Will of the Hive Mind for both the Hive Tyrant and the Winged Hive Tyrant has changed to being once per battle round, rather than once per turn, which brings it in line with every single other thing in the game that has that rule.
Yes.
This was the only one, I believe, that did it every turn.
Yes.
And I abuse the hell out of that rule. Every time I'd be like, ha ha ha, I can do this once per turn.
Yeah.
So now my rampage has been stopped.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. The second change is I think they've noticed that no one really takes psychophages all that often because they've gone, here you go, here's a bunch of new stuff. I'll be curious to see if this actually makes a difference in game. I'm going to have to use it. It's now got a 12-inch move, so it's faster. Its biostimulus ability has changed. So in your shooting phase after it's shot, select one enemy unit that's been hit by one or more of those attacks, and until the end of the turn, each friendly Tyranids unit that makes a melee attack that targets it gets an extra AP. And you can't shoot it multiple times.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can't stack it.
Gonna get like AP7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. It's like pulling away their armor with its bio-sick.
Sure.
Nice.
Sure.
Yeah, makes sense.
And they've given it smoke.
Hey!
The model's got smoke on it, I guess.
It's got smoke. It makes sense.
It's got a
Considering
chimney.
that's literally, he's got smoke coming out of the model.
Yeah.
Like, it makes complete sense.
Like that.
And they've improved his melee attacks, so he's got 6 attacks now and he's AP2.
Yeah, he seems a bit better in combat.
Yeah, so at least like if he's spat on something, which it has to do because it's got a very small range flamer, and then charged it, he gets AP3.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he's a bit better potentially actually going after characters and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. We'll see if it makes any difference. I'll try him out in a game, see how it feels.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's like, why have they picked that? Like, are they going through people's lists? Like, why that out of the whole codex?
I have a feeling they do go through like lists, particularly at tournaments, like their official GW tournaments. They see what is being taken a lot and they see what isn't being taken, and they try and fiddle it around, either through changing the rules or changing the points.
Yeah.
You often see that reflected in the points. Things that everyone takes go up in points. Things that no one takes go down in points.
Yeah, it does make sense. No changes to World Eaters
They're
to
too
round
new.
us out. They are too new. I also should note with the Pathfinders as well, they don't. They benefit from their own spotting as well, just for the Tau fans. That is the Balance Dataslate.
Quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Quite a lot of changes there.
Yeah.
I feel good about a lot of them.
Yes, I can.
I feel like the changes that they have done are good. I feel like there are some changes they could have done more on. But
Yes, I feel like World Eaters maybe should have had some.
They're a bit too new. I think that the codex being as new as it is, I don't think, generally speaking, they don't tend to apply any changes for a good
I think
few months.
they kind of need their own data to see what they're actually performing like and what happens in games.
Yeah, exactly. It is funny, like we've said this many times, and just to sort of round us out on the Balance Dataslate, is I love the fact they're so keen to do all these changes. I think the structure of how you access rules is just becoming increasingly more silly and a bit confusing. Like, if you are a Dark Angels fan or an AdMech fan and you have the book and the cards, they're kind of completely useless to you now because so many of them are incorrect. You're more likely to be using this to judge most of your units. And then second to that, if you don't have the codex and therefore access to the app, you can read this but then can't access the rules in the app.
Yeah.
It's become quite messy, isn't it?
It's become a bit of a mess, but that's not to take away from the fact I think there's some very, very good changes in here.
Yeah.
And like I would say with Tau, they're happy to make bold changes for the sake of the game being better, rather than worrying about like, oh, that might be too powerful. It's like, they can shake out and they can then increase the points accordingly later, but at its core, they're happy to now change core army rules.
Just bear in mind, we have seen them in Balanced Dataslates before make rules more complicated in an attempt to fix them and just keep adding and adding and adding. So it is nice that they've made it simpler and just changed it rather than, well, we've got to add this little rule here to try and fix it and piling rules upon rules.
Super encouraging, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's nice. The updates keep coming. They just need a better way of the end user being able to access them. If you were getting a patch update to a video game, you'd be presented with the patch notes when you go to play the game, and then you play the game.
Yeah.
What should be happening here is that when someone goes to build a list, after the updates come out, you get presented with the changes for your faction, and then you can see all the changes in the app. I don't mind paying for it. I'll pay for it. If they come up with an option to allow me to pay for my faction so I get all the rules when I'm ready to see them, that would be great. Because at the moment, it's a mess.
Like, granted, like if you have already bought the codex, the app will update itself, but I just think it's wild that you have a physical media and like this card with the lion is now so wrong.
Yeah.
Vashtor's card is so wrong. It's like, it feels a bit, I don't know, it is just messy. It's just the deployment of this stuff is a bit messy. But what isn't messy is more Grotman stuff.
Today's video is brought to you thanks to the support from our on-demand members. It's due to their amazing support that we're able to produce shows just like this one. As well as supporting the channel, our members get access to at least 2 additional battle reports every week, as well as full codex reviews, painting tutorials, our weekly on-demand exclusive talk show, all of our competitive 40k league games, and so much more. And we add to our library of content every single week. You can join our on-demand community today by downloading our app or heading to the website. And right now we have an introductory offer for new customers, so there's never been a better time to join on demand. Thanks for watching. Let's get back to the show.
We have new detachments with this data slate, which is probably, I said this in the last one, I said this at Christmas. This is super exciting and it's
Love
happening
it,
now.
yeah.
The fact that this is seemingly happening with every balanced data slate is super encouraging. This time we have Tyranids, we have Chaos, and we have Dark Angels have got new detachments, how the choices are being made, I don't know, but they're cool detachments.
Yeah.
So I think everyone just needs to just be excited that there's new stuff coming and everyone will probably get stuff soon.
Yay! I'm excited for the Tyranids one.
very cool.
We have got Subterranean Assault, which is all about your burrow units. So Morlocks, Trigons, and your Raveners. I think Rippers might have the burrow keyword as well.
What did this used to be called?
Jormungandr.
Jormungandr.
No one can, well, people can pronounce, but I am bad. So your detachment rule is Surprise Assault. So all of your Tyranids reroll hit rolls of 1.
Why do they call it that?
Surprise!
Imagine a Tyranid burrowing on the ground. Surprise!
Excuse me, that's exactly how my Tyranids act in my head. So all your Tyranid models reroll hit rolls of 1, just as standard.
Great.
And then each time a burrower unit from your army is set up on the battlefield from reserves, you place a tunnel marker anywhere on the battlefield within 1 inch of it and more than 3 inches horizontally from all enemy units.
That's cool.
So, I mean, you know those Trigons and Morlocks have quite big bases.
Big bases.
Big base.
I guess they would make a large tunnel.
They would make a very large tunnel, wouldn't they, Jim Jam? And then in the reinforcement step of your movement phase, when you set up another unit on the battlefield from reserves, you can set up that unit wholly within 9 of one of your tunnel markers and more than 6 horizontally from enemy units. So bear in mind, you could bring one up from strategic reserve, place a marker, and then bring something else.
Oh.
I believe.
So you could cascade?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Tunnels
because
everywhere.
Both are happening in the reinforcement step, and it's up to you in which order you do it.
That's fun.
Then if an enemy unit, excluding aircraft, ends any move within 3 inches, it gets removed from the battlefield, but if you're kind of using it as a cascade effect.
Yeah, makes sense.
You also have... Oh, it's given the burrower keyword. Morlock and Trigon have the burrower keyword, and in the muster army step, you can select up to 2 Trigon units. The character keyword. Trigon Primes are back.
That's very cool.
Exciting.
That's very cool.
One could be your warlords.
Yeah, because they're characters now, so they can be given enhancements, and they
It makes sense that they would lead the burrowing, the surprise assault.
Yeah. But it's nice that they brought Trigon Primes back, because I kind of didn't really understand why they'd gone.
Yeah, it's cool that
They're a super cool model.
Yeah. I like that everything gets reroll hit rolls of 1, but you have to reroll all the hit rolls of 1 through an entire game.
Yeah.
Which is just that's a lot of
And I
rerolls.
mean, if you're taking Horde with that, it's a lot. It's a lot of dice.
Quite a lot of rerolls.
But we do have some very cool stuff. So we have our enhancements. We've got Synaptic Strategy. Once per battle, you can target the bearer's unit for rapid ingress for 0 CP.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's very, very nice. Just to be able to deep strike one of your burrower units.
Very nice. Yeah.
I have a lot of fun with this. We then have Tremor Senses. After both players have deployed their armies, you can select up to 3 Tyranid units, put them into strategic reserves, which is cool because you can take more off the board because you can go over the limit with that.
That's cool.
Very, very nice and very, very fitting for this. We then have Vanguard Intellect. Any model with a deep strike ability, they can be set up using the deep strike ability in the reinforcement step of your 3rd, 2nd, or 3rd movement phase, regardless
That's
of the
very cool.
So like all of this is about deep striking. So not only can I deep strike in my turn 1, I can deep strike.
You can really play around the movement of you can rapid ingress and you can
rapid
deep
ingress
strike.
and deep strike.
That's
So
really
you can really play around with it. And there's some strats which are work with that really nicely, which is cool. Then Trigon Prime is actually a enhancement. The bearer gains synapse, which is really important if you're going with these as your characters. and improve the strength and weapon skill characteristic of melee weapons by 1.
That's cool.
Which is just nice, because they're not the best of units.
It's also nice because you can make them characters, you can give the Trigons loads of enhancements to make them feel like they are like the core part of that army.
It does then build on that in the strats, because you've got adaptive optimization. In the command phase, you pick one Morlock or Trigon unit and you give them the synapse keyword. Because I think like if you're going to go full in on Morlocks and Trigons, you're going to not have any synapse. So it's really good that they're building into that. You've got replenishing swarms in your movement phase, 1 Tyranids unit, any unit, wholly within 9 inches of 1 or more tunnel markers that you've placed. So bear in mind you can put them in your reinforcement step, and then that's still part of your movement phase. 1 model in your unit regains up to D3 plus 1 lost wounds, or return D3 plus 1 destroyed models with a wounds characteristic of 1.
That's very nice. That's cool.
So just keep bringing them back.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
From
for
the
storm.
tunnels!
You can also do that after a move, right? So you could move onto your marker.
Yeah, you can move on to a marker
nice.
and then
Then
do
you
it.
can regain D3 plus 1 models.
That is
So
cool.
Or you
you've
can
got, like,
set up a marker next to
Yeah,
something
yeah,
you need to heal.
It's like a Trigon's burrowed, like moved over to a like entrance and they'd like spat on him and healed his wounds.
Well, I think what it's meant to be is like they're literally being reinforced from the tunnel, which is really, really cool. We then have Enfilading Emergence. At the end of your movement phase, you pick 1 unit that was just set up as reinforcements, and until the end of your next fight phase, they get sustained hits 1 and ignores cover.
Very nice.
Tunnel Network. At the end of your movement phase, you pick 1 Tyranid unit wholly within 9 of your tunnel markers, remove it from the battlefield, and then set it up again, wholly within 9 inches of another tunnel marker you place.
That's cool.
So you can move across
it
the
around,
battlefield. Swarming Assault, charge phase, something that was set up as a reinforcement. You can, friendly units within 6 can reroll charge rolls.
That's nice, yeah.
Hilarious. Very, very good for...
That has to be Tyranid's monster, so I presume it has to be one of the Trigons sort of leading that. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And then Retreat Below, which is the really good one. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, you can pick 1 Tyranids unit or 2 Burrowers that aren't within engagement range and put them into strategic reserves. So I can hide away 2 of my Trigons.
The detachment's got some insane maneuverability.
Oh yeah.
They're like...
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
It's sort of, you can imagine like how it would look.
Like in my head, I'm very much imagining Dune.
Yeah. But like in terms of like being able to really play secondary missions and stuff, like they can
They're really
move like
maneuverable now.
crazy.
Yeah.
How well these all synergize with each other as well, of like with the movement of cool. So I can deep strike or like reinforce this thing here and set up a tunnel marker, and then I can remove something and put it next to a tunnel marker, and then I can heal something because I've moved next to it.
It's like
It's
a,
cool.
it's
And
like
it's
apocalyptic whack-a-mole.
And it's a 3-inch range for your enemy to shut those off. And bear in mind, you can use them in your same movement phase, I believe.
Yeah.
So
it's nice that you can move them as well, so if it just makes them very slippery little snakes, which is very cool.
as they should be. I'm very excited to play with this. Very, very excited.
That's cool.
This feels like a very nice, like I've said,
It's a fun
throughout
detachment.
all of the Tyranid ones. It's nice for the people that love their whole collection.
And they have a
just
particular
wanna use
collection they've
everything.
built around a theme, right?
Because no one's really taking them before. It's exciting.
You can't spell Subterranean without neat. And they're neat.
Nice.
The Cabal of Chaos.
Chaos!
Chaos!
You need those.
I need these to see. So this is a really, really fun detachment.
I really like this.
And it will be available to see on demand very soon. Very, very soon.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, maybe. Yeah,
Maybe.
We'll find out. It'll probably come up. This feels like what the Space Marine Librarian detachment wished it could have been.
Yes.
But sadly, they're not.
Gotta laugh at the loser
they're not-
Imperium.
We got it.
But I feel like Chaos, like, in the Transformers film, there was always...
Which one?
The first one, the one with Megan Fox and Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, okay.
Optimus Prime is like, the thing that holds us back is we're trying to not blow up all the buildings and hurt all the civilians. Whereas if you're the naughty Transformers, you can do what you want. And I feel like this is very Chaos. It's like unbridled sorcerer's power.
That's why Chaos is the best. Right, the detachment rule is called Empiric Wellspring.
And
what
it's well good.
Yeah. Yeah, just to summarise, the letters for neat exist in Subterranean. Right. So So this builds into Dark Pacts, which is
Very
wonderful. Each time a unit from your army makes a Dark Pact, you can select one of the following abilities, and your unit has the ability till the end of the phase.
Nice.
So you can do Leaping Warp Flame, and when a unit is within 9 inches of one or more friendly Heretic Astartes Psycho models, you improve the strength of ranged weapons by 1.
Ooh.
Which is really nice.
Ooh.
Think about something like a Reaper Chain Cannon.
That is nice.
Going
Las
from strength
Cannon
5 to strength
Havocs.
6. Going into a toughness 3 infantry model.
Oh, that's nice. Well, you could wound Land Raiders on 3s with your las cannons or your havocs. You can make it. Oh.
If you so wish.
Ooh.
Yes. The other option you have is Monstrous Manifestation. So this is done whilst you're within 9 inches of one or more friendly Heretic Astartes Demon Princes, with or without wings. And they improve the AP of melee weapons equipped by models by 1. So you've got 1 for the fight phase, 1 for the
Very
shoot
nice.
phase, which is
Very
really,
nice
really
indeed.
cool. So this is going to encourage you to take lots and lots of Psychers and a few Demon Princes as well.
Very
and
nice.
there are tons of Psychers. Sorcerers, Terminator Sorcerers, the
Master Possession?
Master Possession, Dark Commune, all kinds of stuff.
Lots.
You gonna sneeze?
Oh, I was nearly going to sneeze.
I thought you were going to implode then.
Chaos!
So yeah,
Ten.
there's heaps and heaps of options you've got for running loads of these. Now, when I ran this in the game, I realized it would probably work really well as like an MSG sort of thing.
Yes.
So just spread out your sorcerers, take loads of demon princes, and you'll be in for a lovely time. Enhancements wise, you've got Touched by the Warp.
Oh,
You can pick a Heretic Astartes model and they become a Psyker.
that's wicked.
So I did this on a Chaos Lord and it worked brilliantly.
Especially
Really,
because
really cool.
often you want characters, if they're in the thick of things,
Yeah.
then you can make them have the psychic keyword and then they're going to be giving them buffs for days.
Yeah, and if you want to pick a unit that's very reliable, like Chosen, for instance, or a unit of Terminators, you could make that Terminator Chaos Lord or the Chaos Lord a Psyker. You don't have to rely on being close to another Psyker unit. Which
Now, Mr. Beard,
Tell me yes, hello.
You understand the whims of chaos. Does a Demon Prince have the Heretic Astartes keyword?
Yes.
So you could put it on a Demon Prince and it could get both buffs.
Yeah, if you wanted to.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, because they're not Psykers. The Eye of Zadesh.
Oh.
Dash.
Eye of Zadesh. Zadesh. You can any Heretic Astartes model, they get Scout 6.
Oh, that's nice.
Cool. That's quite nice on something like a Master Possession.
Yeah.
Mind Blade.
Ooh.
I like this
Very
one.
cool name. This is for a Psyker model, and their unit gets Lance.
That was
Ooh.
really,
That's
really
very
nice.
nice.
Nice on a unit of Chosen, nice on a unit of Possessed, especially Possessed, because they're still a bit pants.
And you combine it with a monstrous manifestation, you get Lance and extra AP.
It's really cool.
That's very
yeah,
nice.
Really, really
Yeah,
cool.
that's really nice.
And then finally you have Infernal Avatar. This is for either flavor of Demon Prince, and you can improve the strength of melee weapons by 2 and the AP by 1. So you can make
Nice.
a real
Now,
Demon
does that
Prince
stack with the detachment roll as well?
Yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, they're scary.
Yeah, man.
That's a very killy Demon Prince.
Very.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Moidorous.
Nice attachment rule, nice set of enhancements. The Scout 6 one's fine, I didn't use that. We then have the stratagems. Baleful Blessing is 1 CP. You use this in any phase just after a Heretic Astartes unit has taken a mortal wound. They have a 5 up for no pain against mortal wounds.
Nice.
That's nice
right.
because that means it works against things like tank shock as well. Because
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of those don't tend to work in like
Very nice.
weird phases.
Devastating wounds, explosions, tank shocks,
That's
blah,
really
blah,
nice.
blah,
And
blah.
especially when it's allocated, so
Yeah.
you can wait until if someone shoots you with a devastating wound weapon, you can wait to pop it.
Yeah.
So, ooh.
Exactly. You then have no rest in death. This is really good. So in the movement phase, you pick a unit within 9 inches of a Psyker or a Demon Prince, and they can regain D3 plus 1 wounds for 1 model. Or if the unit's battle line, you can restore D3 destroyed models.
Oh,
Which is really cool
Yeah.
That's
on
cool.
Legionnaires.
yeah.
Because if you want to do this very efficiently, if you run loads of Legionnaires with the right weapon loadouts, it's actually really good. Mutations Curse. This is in the shooting phase. You select a Psyker unit and then 1 visible enemy unit within 12. On a 1, they suffer 1 mortal wound. And this might be one of the only times I've seen a 1 be a success.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess you're spending a CP on it,
yeah.
so suck if.
Well, I mean, if you do usually if it's only on a 2+ when something
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
On a 2 to a 4, they suffer D3, and on a 5 to a 6, it's 2 D3
Yeah,
mortal wounds.
that is funny because in many ways, you could be better off rolling on 1 than a 2 to a 4 because you might still roll a 1 anyway.
Yeah. Generally, a 1 is always a fail in dice games.
Yeah.
Not for Chaos though, because we're special. Soul Seekers. In the shooting phase, you select 1 Heretic starter unit from your army that's not been selected to shoot. They then get ignore cover on their ranged weapons.
It's nice because that kind of just gives them the extra AP that you would get for the melee anyway.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Effectively.
Unholy Haste. 1 CP. In the charge phase, you can advance and charge, basically. Again, really nice for possessed.
It's nice that it's in the charge phase as well, rather than having to declare it in the movement phase.
Very nice, yes.
Damn right, sister. And then finally, you have the Shroud of Chaos, which I used every single turn. Battle round. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, you select 1 Psyker or Demon Prince unit, and then they have a 6-inch stealth aura.
Oh.
It's worth mentioning, you have to pick this at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. It's not like Smoke, where you can pick it when you're targeted.
Oh.
But
I
if
got
you're
that wrong
clever...
in the first game.
Yeah, but it's fine.
I can't be helped, I'm dyslexic. Potentially is my new
This is unconfirmed,
This
by the way.
undiagnosed, unconfirmed potential.
That's very good.
A 6-inch stealth aura. That is gnarly.
You just bubble wrap around your deer. Oh.
Or a unit of 10 Terminators with a Psyker. You can make a huge bubble with this. So if you are running MSU, which I feel like this is how this detachment's designed to work, you can have a massive, massive stealth aura for 1 CP. It's wild.
Oh yeah, because it's within 6 inches of the unit.
Of the unit, not the bearer. Yeah. It's wild. So yeah,
crazy.
Terminator is chosen. Whatever, really. It's really interesting. Yeah. So I really, really like this detachment. This is detachment number 10 for Chaos Space Marines.
I was going to say, never get a lot, yeah.
So this is another unique way of playing Chaos Space Marines. Another example of why they're the best faction. And yeah, super flavorful.
So is this another spare detachment, would you say?
It's undivided. Yeah. You can go to hell as well. The Cabal of Chaos gets 9 Chaos stars out of 10 from me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of chaos.
Speaking of chaos.
Are we ready?
It's very funny.
This is very good.
Yeah.
This is the Dark Angels detachment,
Yes.
which is detachment number 5 for the Dark Angels. Again,
Half what I've got.
feels like they didn't get that book right when they first released
For
it.
a sub-faction though, that's good.
Yeah, it's
5
huge.
detachments.
Yeah. It's called Wrath of the Rock. Now,
This is very, very good.
the detachment rule is dutiful tenacity. Now, there may be a large swathe of people that remember in 9th edition, when the main thing about Dark Angels was you couldn't wound them on anything but a 4, because every Deathwing had transhuman physiology, effectively.
What was it called?
Well, that was just called Deathwing. That was their thing.
Oh, that was just the
Because
Deathwing thing.
Infamously, Deathwing is supposed to be the hardest in all the galaxy. They're
You could
the
say they are formed of transhuman physiology.
and you could say they have a dutiful tenacity, you could say.
Yeah.
That they refuse to yield.
Yeah.
But for a while, they've been a bit easy to kill. Well, that time is over. Each time an attack targets an infantry or mounted unit from your army, if the strength characteristic of that attack is greater than the toughness characteristic of that unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll.
Awesome.
Deathwing Knights are very much back on the menu now.
But also it's nice that it's unmounted as well.
Very nice. That's your Black Knights.
Yeah.
That's all your infantry.
Yep.
That's your Inner Circle companions. That's all your characters. Obviously, it's not the Lion, but he gets that anyway now, which is super cool.
It's
Everything but your vehicles.
Yes.
It's a hell of a combination actually when you combine the speed and the resilience. It's actually really powerful.
Like, for reference, a Deathwing Knight is toughness 5. It's also -1 damage. It's got 4 up invuln and it's got 4 wounds. If you were to shoot a las cannon at a Deathwing Knight, right, it's gonna subtract 1 from the wound roll. So you'll have less of a chance of now wounding that Deathwing Knight.
Yeah.
And then also, even though it's got 4 wounds, it's -1 damage. You have to wound it on 1 less and then still roll a 4 or more on the damage to kill 1 Deathwing Knight with a
They've
las
got 4
cannon.
wounds, Deathwing Knights?
Yeah.
They have to roll a 5
Yeah.
to kill it.
Well,
Because you're minus the 1.
Cannon.
Oh, it's D6 plus 1.
So
Sorry.
you have to at least roll a 4 to kill 1 Deathwing Knight. They are now incredibly resilient, and they don't now rely on having to have loads of vehicle support to transport them into battle. You can now deep strike them, and they're more likely to just hang around and be an absolute weapon. You then have a really fun set of enhancements. You've got Tempered in Battle, which is probably the least exciting. Adeptus Astartes model only. While a friendly Adeptus Astartes unit within 6 of this model, you can reroll Battleshock tests. Probably not going to take it. What you might take, though, is Ancient Weapons.
Yeah, they're back!
Adept as a Astartes model only. Improve the strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer by 2, and improve the AP and damage by 1. On a Deathwing Captain or a Terminated Chaplain, that is very nice indeed to turn your character into an absolute weapon. Deathwing Assault is weirdly here. It is also normally in the Deathwing detachment. So they've kind of doubled up on this as a thing. But that will make sense with the next attachment as well, or the next enhancement. The Deathwing model can deep strike turn 1, which is really, really nice. Especially now they are might as well to be wounded. It's very, very nice indeed.
You can create a very nice blockade with those.
You can indeed. Lord of the Raven Wing, which again I think might appear in Company of Hunters now. You can rewrite advance and charge rolls for bearers in the model's unit, provided it's a Raven Wing model. It's interesting that those two enhancements are here, because I feel like this is almost the proper conversion of the two schools of the Dark Angels.
Yeah.
This is a really nice way of running both of your Raven Wing and your Deathwing, and then running them as one cohesive force, which is very nice and is intended to benefit from both. You then have a really, really nice set of stratagems. Inescapable Justice for 2CP. One Adeptus Astartes character from your unit that is on the battlefield. Select one enemy unit within 12 inches and visible to your unit. That enemy then becomes your new Oath of Moment target, provided you have destroyed your previous Oath of Moment target.
I can see that being very, very effective of, cool, my entire shooting phase is going to go into this to make sure it's dead, and then for the fight phase, I'm going to target that unit. That's so nice.
It's really nice.
It makes sense that it's 2CP.
Yeah, of course, because it basically gives you full rerolls on multiple units.
Yeah.
And you're very, very reliable as a Dark Angel as well. Lion's Will. In your command phase, one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army that is within engagement range of one or more enemy units. To the start of your next command phase, as 1 to the objective control characteristic of models in that unit, which is very nice. And in addition, to the end of the turn, if your unit does not have Deathwing, Raven Wing, or vehicle keywords, each time model in your unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll.
The OC thing is really, really cool because it's in your command phase, and 9 times out of 10 you are scoring your points at the end of the command phase. So that can just be like, cool, I all of a sudden own that objective.
And then from a denial perspective, I like the fact it specifies not the Deathwing, Raven Wing, or vehicles, because most of your Deathwing are going to be hitting on 2s anyway. So otherwise it's a bit much for muchness. But then if you've got regular Green Wing,
well, this is it. This feels like, oh, there's actually a reason to take Green Wing and have the 3 wings actually together, which you're not really seeing all that much at the moment.
Yeah, you don't see that often, which is very nice. Armor Contempt is here, sure, but I feel it just takes up space in a lot of these. Tactical Mastery. Your movement phase, one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army. That unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn at which it advanced. If your unit is a Raven Wing, it is also eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn at which it fell back. Being able to advance and charge
is nice.
Is very nice, given you're a Terminator-heavy army, presumably.
Also being able to fall back with your bikes.
Yeah, so what I like about this is it gives you effectively the Company of Hunters on your Raven Wing units if you want it for 1 CP, or you could just yeet the Lion to advance and charge, or Deathwing Knights to advance and charge. This next stratagem is one of my favourites. It's been gone for far too long. Relics of the Dark Age, which is fantastic. Your shooting phase, one Adeptus Astartes infantry or Adeptus Astartes mounted unit. That does exclude the land speeder vengeance. Sad land speeder noises. Just remove them from the codex. We get what you're doing, GW. Until the end of the phase, add 2 to the strength characteristic of ranged weapons.
You can put that on any infantry or mounted.
You can put that on your Black Knights, so they have strength 10 plasma on the overcharge.
Woo! Damn.
Or you can put it on a unit of 10 Hellblasters.
What the hell?
Yeah, that's very, very nice. It's very, very yucky indeed. You then have Leonine Aggression. I really like these stratagems. I know when we had the last go around with the Dark Angels detachment, people are a bit down on these kind of stratagems, but I cannot explain how potent they can effectively be.
Leonine? Is that like lion-like?
It is lion-like. So, at the end of your opponent's charge phase, one Adeptus Astartes unit from your army within 3 inches of one or more enemy units, or one Deathwing unit from your army within 6 inches of one or more enemy units. Bear in mind this is the end of your opponent's charge phase, and it doesn't specify it has to be the unit that's charging from your opponent's army. Your unit now declares a charge that only targets one or more of the enemy units that have resolved that charge. So you do, you do have to be receiving a charge, but you can effectively completely countercharge them.
Yeah.
It makes your opponent have to be so careful with their movement, because cool, I'm going to countercharge you with Deathwing Knights. You'll fight first.
Yes.
But I'm Deathwing.
Yeah, you don't receive any bonuses to your charge. You don't count as going first. You have to go second. But it's such 6 inches is a remarkable amount of distance in Warhammer, especially when you are using something like a Terminator unit.
Yeah.
If you, for example, use a rapid ingress. If you've got a unit of Hellblasters, rapid ingress unit of Deathwing Knights next to them. So if anything charges that unit of Hellblasters, you are going to countercharge with a unit of Deathwing Knights. It's a very powerful detachment, and I think tying all of those stratagems with the Dutiful Tenacity to make your Deathwing units so resilient is exactly what was missing from Deathwing. And also, I know a lot of people might say, like, well, you don't get the +1 to wound like you used to get with the Deathwing detachment. You just take 3 Terminator Chaplains and you get it anyway, and they're pretty cheap.
This is quite spicy.
Very spicy detachment. Like, I can see 3 Deathwing Knights and the Lion as the bulk of your force, and then that's just difficult to deal with.
Yes.
Let's go over the MFM. Just briefly, like you can all follow along at home. This is all available now. So, Sororitas, Adeptus Sororitas, this is a battle. They've had quite a few points drops. Generally speaking, across all of these are about 5 to 10 points.
Yeah.
So this is mainly for infantry stuff. Paragon Warlords has gone down a bit. Triumph of St. Catherine's gone down a bit. Immolator's gone down a bit. Little bits here and there.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense in line with the fact that they've not been performing that well.
Nothing crazy. For Custodies, the only change are the Alarus Custodians. The Terminators have come down between 10 and 30 points, depending on how many you're taking.
Which is pretty wild, because they're very good.
They're very good, yeah.
Nice. Great for Custodies.
Yeah, AdMech have only had a few reductions in points. Both flavours of the chickens have gone down 5 points per model, basically.
So as far as I was aware, no one was really taking them too much.
For Eldari, the Fire Dragons have gone up a bit, Autarch's gone up a bit, Warlock Conclave's gone up a bit for if you're taking 4 models. Howling Banshees have had a very slight increase as well, but again, nothing crazy going on there. The Yunari have had some points increases for their
that's in line
Yunari
with
stuff.
the fact that Yunari was doing well.
Yeah. In terms of the Guard, it's a bit uppy downy over the place. Ursula Creed's gone up 20 points.
Yes.
Because I think she was being taken
Kriegsmen have gone up if they're in a brick of 20.
They've gone up by 15 points. Death Riders have gone down slightly.
Which
They've
is
had
good,
a 10-point reduction, but they could probably do with a slight war gear change instead, potentially.
It makes sense that the Kriegsmen have gone up because they have access to the Medipack. So unit of 10 being able to, 20 being able to constantly bring back models. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Liam Russ and Tarox have gone up 10 points apiece. Bullgrin have gone down a bit, which is nice for the Bullgrin, as have the Tempestus Aquilans had a little bit of reduction too. Black Templars have had some changes, which is surprising because they're probably getting a new codex soon based on the teasers we've been getting. Hellbrett's gone down 10. The Primaris Crusader Squad's gone down 10. The Sword Brethren's gone down 30 for 10 models.
Yeah, which is a good chunk of change. It's a big difference,
Yeah, and Grimaldus has gone down 10 as well. Blood Angels have had loads of points drops.
Pretty much everything has gone down, hasn't it?
All of the core stuff, like your Dante's gone down. Mephiston's an absolute bargain now. The Sanguinor has stayed the same as far as I'm aware. Death Company have gone down. Sanguinary Guard have gone down.
Feels like they're getting to the point where Blood Angels are going to be as hoardy as the rest of Space Marines.
I think my issue with same with the Black Templars, same with Blood Angels, my main thought on this is that without war gear, it's kind of pointless. Because great, like my Blood Angels army, I've got 50 points spare. Can't really add anything in with that.
Yeah.
I can't give my Death Company more plasma pistols. I can't change their war gear. I just take another enhancement. Well, I'm full. I already have all the enhancements.
Yeah.
Blood Angels feel very sad.
Yeah.
To be honest, I feel like points changes of this tiny scale only really make sense if you're going to allow war gear back.
Yeah.
At the moment, it just kind of feels like whoop-de-doo.
They feel very flavourless and just another Space Marine army. It's a bit of a shame. Demons, nothing's changed apart from Nurglings have gone up 5 points.
No use for some of the secondaries, I guess.
Yeah, the 2 of the better Shadow Legions enhancements have gone up by 15 and 10 points for Fade's Darkness and Leaping Shadows. Chaos Knights are the same, no changes there. Chaos Space Marines, no changes for Vashtor or Lord Discordant.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild considering they had such a massive blow up, which is really
I guess
nice.
they need to kind of see how they shake out.
Yeah.
Before
And I quite like that. It's sort of
increase their points,
suggesting that they are confident that these changes are what the value of
But
the
also-
model should be.
yeah.
Which is cool.
The Mars Possession and Dark Apostle have both gone down 10 points because no one tends to take them. Chaos Lord with Jump Out's gone down 10, and the Felgor Beastmen have gone down 15 points to 70 points for 10, which I think is a bargain for a unit that can come in turn 1 and do a secondary and
7
then
points
die.
a model, look at them go!
Amazing. Dark Angels, no changes.
No changes.
Nothing to the Lion, nothing to anything.
No.
Wow.
Spicy.
Wow.
They probably needed that a bit though.
No change for Death Guard apart from Nurglings. Death Watch, no changes. Drakari have had some points drops across a few of their units, you can see. Emperor's Children have had some changes. So the Demon Prince with Wings have gone up 20 points, quite rightly, because that Demon Prince is absolutely gnarly. Lucius and Noisewings have gone up 10 apiece, and one of the enhancements
Fulgrim's
have gone
gone
up.
down.
Fulgrim has gone down 20 points.
Well, we did kind of have the discussion. It's hilarious that they put that preview out of like between the 4 Demon Primarchs, Lucius won every time.
Yeah.
Lucius? Fulgrim won every time.
Did he?
Did he? Because, yeah, we kind of feel like he's the most underpowered of the Demon Primarchs.
My main frustration is I just feel the Demon Prince has a much better rule than Fulgrim does.
Yeah.
And it's like 20 points isn't going to change that.
Yeah.
For the cost of 1 Fulgrim, you can pretty much still get 2 Demon Prince with Wings, which is a better return on investment.
It's 165 points cheaper to take
It's a bummer. I think I'd rather actually just swap the rules. Give that rule to Fulgrim, make him an absolute powerhouse. He's the Primarch.
GC the Cults, Outland Jackals have had a reduction.
Woo.
Poor old GC the Cults. Grey Knights, Brotherhood Terminators have gone down 20 points for 10.
Ooh, bargain.
Paladins have gone down 20 points for 10.
That makes more sense.
Brotherhood Champions gone down 10 points as well. Imperial Agents, no changes. Poor Imperial Agents. There's so much wrong with that faction. Imperial Knights, no changes. Leagues of Votan, no points changes at all. Necrons have had some changes here and there, but nothing to write home about. Orcs, interestingly, the Buggies have had some general, quite small points drops, but not a huge amount to go maybe with their new detachment to make it a bit more viable. Otherwise, there are some changes where points have increased here and there for some of the characters. Space Marines, Aggressors have gone down 20 points for 3 and 6 models, which is interesting.
Yep.
Hellblasters have gone down.
I don't understand this.
10.
Why did they do that? Why?
Marnius Calguard's gone down 10. Heavy Intercessors have gone down 10. Captain with Jump Packs gone down
Board
as well.
Space Marines, baby.
Vanguard Veterans with Jump Packs have gone down 30 points for 10.
No one's
which is
taking
so
that anymore.
weird for an
No
old
one's
unit.
taking them.
Yeah, just...
Rabooti Ghoulie Man has gone down 25 points.
Robo Gorilla Man?
Yep,
Damn.
gone down 25 points, which is nice. Space Wolves, no changes. Apart from the Codex, which there's been quite a lot of changes actually. So the Wolfen have gone up a little bit, but not very much. Wolfen with Storm Shields have gone up 20 points for 10 and 10 for 5, but it's probably still very good. Thunderwolf Cavalry have gone up 20 points for 6.
It's not enough.
But they're still very, very, very good.
How many points is 6 of them now?
220 points.
They need to be like 280.
Yeah.
That's just so good.
The Wolfen with Storm Shields at 200 points, I'd still take.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Wolfguard Terminators have gone down 20 points for 10, which I love because they're really good.
They're really cool, yeah.
The Head Taker's gone down a little bit. Grey Hunt's gone down a little bit. Bjorn has gone down a little bit as well. Yeah. Good old Bjorn. Tau Empire have had a few increases. So Stealth Suits have gone up 20 points for 3.
Because they allow the best thing to take for your spotting because of the changes that Greg did.
Crew Carnivores have gone up 10 points for 20.
Sure.
And the Calyon and Montcar, 2 of their enhancements have gone up as well.
Yeah,
Thousand Suns, no changes. Tyranids, Swarm Lord's gone down 20 points, Katie.
Yay!
Lucky you. Psychophage has gone up 15 points.
Well,
although
they did
gave
blow
them
him up.
the increases, that model gets a points increase. Nothing else does.
But Beardy got smoke.
Why did they do that? Just give him the cool stuff.
Yeah.
What was that for?
I also like the fact they've increased him by 15 points, given him extra rules to try and make him viable, but then only increased Thunderbolts by 20 points.
What the hell?
What?
The Hive Tyrant's gone down 30 points.
Well, yeah, because pretty much people took them because, cool, I get a free CP
There was a loophole.
every single turn
There was a loophole.
with them. So yeah, now that's kind of been, it makes sense.
Winged Hive Tyrant's gone down 30 as well, which is
It's
cool.
the same rule.
Hive Guard's gone down 10 and 20 points.
No one's taking them.
And also the Screaming Killer's gone down 10.
Because no one's taking him.
Ward Eaters, no changes. That is the end.
That is the end.
Done.
The points.
Finn.
Nothing crazy, but some
some
appropriate
questionable
changes
things.
here and there.
Some questionable things here and there.
I think, for me, Cal and Space Marines get early cheaper.
Why did they take Hellblasters down?
Here's a
just
great
getting ridiculous.
example of how points changes can sometimes do nothing to a faction. Blood Angels with the reductions are still not very good. They don't feel flavorful. They don't feel exciting. They just
They
feel
needed
like
one of these new detachments.
They feel like what they feel like is one of those new detachments. It doesn't feel like a sub faction.
I think I would say the Blood Angels still in combat are still one of the better combat armies in the game.
But it was
Sure,
getting
I
them
think-
into combat combat, which is why they've, I guess, reduced the points to be like, well, if you take more of them, they're more likely to get into combat.
I just think you can't take the thing without war gear changes. You honestly can't take more of them. They're like, okay, I've reduced everything by 10 points. Okay, across 6 units, that's 60
The change
points.
is so arbitrary.
They don't feel like Space Marines.
What am I going to take? More intercessors? It's like, I feel like all of these points changes used to make sense in a world where, like we said this when they dropped Chaos Knights a little while ago. What am I going to do? I can't add any war gear to them. I can't add another knight.
Actually change the list.
Well, at one of our recent events, War Hipster, a friend of the channel, what did he do with Blood Angels? What did he bring?
He took a whole company of Space Marines.
A company of Space Marines, and now they'll be cheaper.
Yeah, he had 100 Space Marines.
What?
And I feel like that's an entire company, it's an entire battle company of Space Marines. Just because
I mean, it's cool, but
it looks amazing.
like, what?
I think that
They
is
should be elite and not horde.
It's a huge problem with Space Marines. And I think everyone wants more toys on the table, but basically 20 Kriegsmen feel more impactful these days than 10 Space Marines.
Yeah.
And I think that internal balance is just wrong. And the
Space
fact
Marines
like,
never should have been a horde army.
if aggressors are getting that cheap and Hellblasters are getting that cheap, Space Marines fundamentally aren't right.
No.
They should be far more elite, and we should just have to work with that. I think the issue being is that they're just, look, we need Codex Blood Angels, or Codex Dark Angels, or Codex Space Wolves.
Give him 3 wounds. Let's give him another wound.
Give them another organ.
I think
Another little lung in there.
Yeah, Trimaris.
Yeah.
I just think, Space Marines just are getting ridiculous. It's like comical how cheap.
I feel like
is.
they need a little soft reset.
Yeah,
no.
They need a hard
They need a hard reset.
Yeah, like I think that they're.
If anything needs a 2.0 codex for this edition, it's Space Marines.
I think they're going to get it, but they don't feel like Space Marines.
Overall, as a Balance Dataslate, excellent. I think.
Yeah.
Detachments,
excellent.
fabulous.
Yeah, I think that stuff they're doing is still brilliant. I think their commitment to always tweaking points. I get that that's the balancing act of the game, but it feels so inconsequential. Like, for example, great. If you're taking 18 Thunderwolves, which is very potent right now, that's 60 more points across the 3 units because they've gone up 20.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo. Again, that's the same amount of decrease they've then given to Blood Angels for all the characters. Whoop-de-doo, I can do nothing with 60 points. Like, if you're listed 2,000 points to the nose and it drops 50, great, you can whack on another enhancement. If you hadn't already taken 3, then you can't, nothing is so cheap that it's 60 points. And it's not like I can give everyone a melter pistol for more or give everyone a plasma pistol. It's like, well, their war gear is their war gear. Yeah. So you can't do, unless you're willing to make huge changes, you can't do anything with like a little chunk of change.
It just kind of feels like it's a legacy thing of previously when you did have war gear options, those points changes felt so impactful. So now they're like, well, to actually make the impact, we have to make points changes. Yeah. Whereas you could just leave it with the Balance Dataslate.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, it wouldn't feel any different.
I think, that actually changing core rules and models is way more impactful. Yeah. And we'll see with Tau, like that's a core army change that might completely transform that army. The Lion is now gone from being like not interesting to super interesting. Yeah. And there'll be some people who'll be like, he needs to have a points hike. Okay, they'll add 15 points to him. He's still way better.
It doesn't make a difference.
It's not 15 points worth of changes. The poor Psychophage. Here's all this new stuff, 15 points. It's like, is that really worth the 15 points?
Really weird.
I feel like the points are becoming more and more sort of meaningless because war gear isn't a thing. What can you do with 5 points? Yeah. But the Balance Dataslate and the new detachments, fantastic. Yeah.
10 Tyraniid Gribbles.
10 Tyraniid Gribbles indeed. I'm very, very generous of you. Well, yes, that has been the Balance Dataslate.
Sure has.
For June 2025, which is very exciting. They seem to be doing these more and more, which is great, and seem to be really doing robust changes. So I'm already excited to see like what the next quarter brings and then what will happen after that. So that's cool, and more detachments.
And we are already planning on covering all of these detachments very soon.
Yes, I'm frantically trying to finish my Deathwing project, which is very cool. And yes, until next time, I've been James Jordan, aka The Bard. I've been joined by Chaos Lord Beard.
Can't spell beard without
bread.
Yes.
We've been joined by Katie Fode. Jinx.
I'm not going to be weird.
We have been Table of Tactics, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.